Larsson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly, how about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson, and Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Celtic Unrestricted View. My name is Ryan Clifford and joining me on this Have the Fans Lost the Trust is Alan and Daniel. Well lads, obviously JP was on his lonesome on Monday, so we've not really spoke about the full meeting collectively as a podcast, so properly I would say. Obviously JP has a wee bit as well, but obviously us three haven't really spoke about it. There's been a lot of talk about it. Have they took responsibility? Have they took accountability? Have they shown respect? People say yes, people say no. All about opinions. Obviously, the game for the weekend we've not really chatted about as well, so we'll touch on that as well. But overall, Alan, how are you, mate? Glad to be back on with you. And obviously, what was your thoughts for the weekend? And how are you, mate?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be on. Hope you guys are well. Hope everyone that's watching is well. Obviously, we could have got on Monday and JP was on his lonesome, sitting talking to himself for the best part of an hour and a half. So, there we go. But much love, big man. But yeah, the weekend, I think it was elation. Oh, no, I'm going to rephrase that. I think it was relief that we got that winner. I think when you look at the performance, it's been much like what we've seen the majority of this season. Probably all of this season. I think it was pretty dire. I think the performances we're seeing just now are pretty dross, to be honest. No one to mix words, so it has been kind of pretty awful. Obviously, the main thing of that day is the result. We did get the 3 points, but as I've said before, the performance it comes back to bite you. We've seen that with the Hibs game before. We've seen that with the Europa League game against Braga. So it's unsustainable for us to continue to perform like that. It's got to catch up with you at some point. There needs to be some sort of turning point. We keep saying every week that there needs to be a turning point. Hopefully that kind of last gasp winner that can kind of fashion some sort of turning point. We'll try to be as positive as possible, but no Celtic fan can watch the performances we've seen recently and kind of be happy with that. Even the manager's kind of saying it as well. He kind of questioned if he didn't know if the players had the kind of character he kind of get that result. So yeah, I think it shows marks of champions when you get the odd kind of last minute winner. But when you're seeing that performance week in, week out, that's when it starts to get concerning. I think I've touched on it before with regards to the kind of Martin O'Neill era. I think that there was a lot of times that we were well known to kind of get the last gasp winners. But throughout that time, we were putting in really good performances. You could see that we were kind of league champions elect, but just now, it is concerning the performances. It definitely has to improve. There's no getting away from it. But it's 3 points, and when we come back to the international break, I think there's a few very important games that could change the path of our season upcoming. So, that's what it is for the weekend. We're just kind of hoping that is a turning point. We can push forward and progress and hopefully improve.
Yeah, a big hail and a big welcome to the viewers. JP says it's a usual podcast. I'm Alan just talking to you 7.5. So, but no, but good to see you all in the chat. Any questions that you want to put across, we'll fire away. Obviously, Daniel, as Alan says, probably game at the weekend. amazing to get the last minute goal. It's always good to score a last minute goal, and the feeling and the buzz from that. And obviously, it was a fantastic goal, both from Engels, Balawisha, and good finish from Maeda. But I'll probably say in terms of the relief, as Alan says, is probably elation is probably the wrong word. Obviously, at that point in time, you're elated to get the victory, but when you take a step back, it's more relief that we've had to wait to the last kick of the ball. Listen, whether the game is going to be set in stone to 3, 4, 5, 6 goals, whatever that, Daniel. But recently, we have been lacking creativity, lacking goals, so it was elation, but it was probably considering where we played and how we've been this year, it's definitely a bit of relief because it could have been obviously a bit of a wee small gap to Hearts.
Yeah, definitely. I think that performance at the weekend pretty much epitomises the start to the season. Performance-wise, you're left wanting, but results-wise, we're still getting there, and I think that is the most important thing. Obviously, like Aaron says, if those performances are starting to become regular, it's something that will begin to play on our mind. We don't listen. Nobody's going to knock back a last-minute winner, and we all love that now and again. But if it's a labelled performance at home, when I think everybody was kind of expecting a more, no disrespect to Motherwell, but I think everybody was expecting a routine win. And then it became a bit more of a challenge with the way the game went. So yeah, I think it was testament to the way we've started the season. But yeah, it's like Alan says, you can't keep continuing down that route. Or like you said, Ryan, Hearts would have had a nice wee gap opening up heading into an international break. But no, delighted to get the result and delighted to get it in the manner that we did, considering the performance. So that will speak testament to the group, and hopefully moving forward, it's something that we can kick on from and start to find that spark and get back to what we know.
Just to JP's question, it's a fleece, mate. It's getting cold. It's definitely, well, we're minus new, mate, so we need to warm up. So we need to start performing, and we need to get the hoodies back out. But
I are Greece too. That's not Greece
too.
one. That's Michelle Pfeiffer that's sung that. I want it.
I'll get my mic, my cycling bike out. But no, I think obviously touch on the game, Alan, briefly, and then we'll go on to obviously the fan collective and stuff. For me, Alan, again, there was some bits that was a wee bit quicker in some parts of the game, but I think it's more relief for me. I think performance-wise, we've not really played well all season. Some players need a right kick up the bum, shall I say, in no uncertain words. I was really surprised Casper Schmeichel played. If I'm Sinisalo, I'm thinking, well, what do I need to do to get in this team? Why does somebody make so many mistakes in a big European game, a big mistake at Ibrox, big mistake at the cup final? Listen, Casper's been phenomenal for us since he's come in, considering it was a small fee, a free transfer. His age he is, he's still really good, but I did question in the summer, how long could he be at this level? How many games can he play? Is he now getting to the stage where he's going to be managed because his age? I don't know, but he's definitely starting to create mistakes in his game. Happened with Scott Brown. It's happening with a bit with Cal McGregor. It's happened with other guys and years gone past with other teams. They start making mistakes when they get older, when their legs, but when maybe they're no sharp or you're getting older. And I think Casper, he still makes good saves for us, Aaron. And I do agree with JP that maybe they're in still because of the mentality, they've been there and done it. But just because you've been there and done it, Aaron, doesn't mean that you need to play every game. It does mean that you warrant to play. And on Casper's recent performances, yes, Belgrade, brilliant save, 2 or 3 saves, but he also made 2 or 3 mistakes that nearly cost us, and he's doing it every game. And I said it with Scales last year and the year before. Liam Scales might defend well, but he makes certain mistakes that is eventually going to cost you. It happened twice the same thing against Aberdeen. I think it was 3-2. It's happened a few times. Nearly happened at Ibrox with passing about. They're the mistakes that loses you games, and you need to wrap that. And Casper, eventually, one of these is going to cost us. The goal against Braga, for me, it's his fault. His footwork's terrible. He can see the ball. So should some of these guys, Alan, be most comfortable, and even your captain, who we all rate, and I think he's over the last few years, he's probably the best midfielder in Scotland for the last 6-7 years, consistently churning out performances. But is there a time where you go, right, Callum, you've not played well, we shot on the bench, 2 games on the bench, right through, you're back in, manage him, because I don't think if you manage him properly, you'll get the best out of him. If you don't, I think he'll burn out, and that's when fans will go, he's not good enough, he's lost his legs, and you don't want that, Alan.
Aye, it should be the case that we're able to kind of give Callum a break, because I think most of the season his performances, like a lot of the team, have been well under par. But I think you'd be looking at giving him a break if there was other players round about him that were performing. But as you've seen the last few games, where midfield's been kind of swapped about. I don't think Brendan knows just now what midfield's kind of performing at the optimum. I think he knows probably his midfield ideally would be Cal McGregor, Hatate and Negrin, but you're looking at the 3 of them as well. They're not performing well whatsoever, and that's probably why there's been a lot of rotation. So in an ideal world, you would like to see Cal McGregor get kind of less game time, a bit more rest, and that would maybe optimise his play, like his performances as well. But it's not really working like that because of our performances. You're looking at the whole team the weekend there. I think I'd give 2 or 3 pass marks. I think you're looking at the left-hand side with Sriracha and Telecki. I think they've been the standouts for the last few games. I think apart from that, you're struggling. I think when you talk about Kasper, I questioned when we first signed him, how is this a stopgap just now? How long can we possibly have Kasper as our number 1? Because I know he's doing well at this age, but it's like anybody, any man, woman, kind of human, Mother Nature kind of catches up with you. You just I'm nearly at the age of kind of Kasper just now, and I'm noticing a difference. My eyesight was usually perfect, but now when I'm watching the half 10 show, I'm needing to squint to see the subtitles.
Is that because you see down there though? Is that because your eyes are getting a bit?
No, it's well. I'm more into the content. It's not the pictures. I'm wanting to read to see the backstory yet. So I'm struggling to do that. So I'm having to squint to see that.
That's why the Ray-Bans in it. It's normally I skip this part in
it. So I just got to the bit where the plumber was visiting you, right?
That's what I mean. But normally you skip that part.
So I think it's just you get older, things, your reaction times basically are no maybe as good as what they were. I'm not saying that Kasper can't do a job for us, but I think with the performances we're seeing for Kasper maybe this season, I think that it's probably time that Sinisalo's given that chance, because Sinisalo wasn't absolutely kind of perfect when he came in last season. There was a couple of times I was like, oh, he kind of flapped at crosses, but I think on the whole, it was pretty good, his performances. So I think he merits a chance in the team because of how Kasper's been performing. You mentioned our good friend kind of Liam Scales. Jesus Christ, that honestly, I've just, everybody's got different opinions, but Liam Scales continues to kind of make mistakes at that level. If he wasn't kind of getting the chance to come in when we had injury problems, would we have went and signed him for Aberdeen? No chance. And he's not a terrible player. I'll give credit where credit's due. He defends, but he's like an old-fashioned defender. There is that mistake in him. He can't kind of distribute the ball well whatsoever. And I think we're looking at standards. If we're setting standards and we think that Liam Scales is up to that standard, then I think we're setting that bar very, very low. I don't see him being Liam Scales has been our best defender this season. None of them have been good. Liam Scales is shocking. Honestly, I'm not going to mix any words anymore. Liam Scales is not good enough for Celtic's kind of centre half pairing to start. That we shouldn't be in a place that we are relying on Liam Scales. We all due respect to him, right? He'd be a decent squad player, I think, but we shouldn't be in a place in this day and age that we're looking at Liam Scales and saying he's our best defender. Not a chance. Know what I mean? It's just it's ludicrous to think that he should be in real starting 11. I think Carter Vickers needs to step it up as well. I believe that his performances have been subpar. I think you look at Ralston as well. I think you can go through the majority of the team that were pretty substandard. So I think you just need to look. Basically, the majority of the team need to step it up. They are capable of improving these performances. We know that these players are capable of improving, but we need to see that. There's no way that we can perform this way the whole season without it'll finally catch up with us. But the game as a whole, it was good to see kind of Balawisha getting the assist. Hopefully that gives him confidence as well, because he's looked a player that's very edgy, very short in confidence. So let's hope for about the 20th time this season that we're going to kick on for this, because as I've said a number of times, you look at us going forward just now. We all due respect to Motherwell. Motherwell kind of came, they set up the way they wanted to. They played their game. I probably feel a bit hard done by to leave without anything for Celtic Park, if I'm being honest. But we need to be far better than we're showing just now. I think that's clear to see.
I agree with you, Alan. I think we've been, again, I normally don't say this with Celtic, but I know winning's the most important thing. I understand that, but it's been boring for me, Daniel, to watch. Really boring. Again, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes watching it on the telly, some of the away games, I've been looking at my phone for 2-3 minutes because it's boring. There's been nothing. There's been nothing to. It's the sideward passing, the horseshoe stuff. Nothing's changing.
Yeah.
The thing for me, I obviously can go back on what Alan says about Casper. For me, I watched Open Goal yesterday, and I'm going to agree with what Si was saying. Right now, how can teams like Motherwell out of possession and in possession, no matter what the stats tell you, we all seen the game. Motherwell were better than us out of possession, and they were better than us in possession in parts of the game. Forget about how much possession we had or whatever our stats, right? For your eyes tell you, for me, better sometimes than what stats tell you, right? Stats can show you what you want to possibly see sometimes, right? For me, Motherwell were brilliant. How can Motherwell tactically do a high press or do this and do that, and we can't defend against it? We can't get out a Motherwell high press, but when other teams do it, they can get out it, but we can't. Is it for me? No, I agree with you, Monty Tick, Mick. That'll go into a conversation that I'll have with the lads. I will save you a comment because it's going to go into something that we will touch on. Thanks for the comment again. For me, Daniel, I agree with Si, and I think it's Andy Halliday as well. We're talking about coaching, right? Celtic are coached in a formation where it's either this if you want to call it 4-3-3 or 4-2-1, whatever you want to call it now, right? Basically, three up front, or the one up front with two wingers, right? And the three midfield, and basically the wingers, etc., right? Celtic are coached in that, and they've not really been coached in anything else, really. Obviously, we don't know what to do behind the scenes, right? But against Braga, when they moved to if it was a 3-5-2 or 3-4 or 3-4-3, right? Whatever way you want to think it came across. I agree with Andy and Si. It was off the cuff. It was right. We need to change this now. We'll go to Tierney at the back. We'll do this. It didn't look like some of the players were like, right, this isn't what we're used to be doing here. But how can Motherwell do what they've done at Celtic Park? How can we not go to teams and defend and with a low block, if you want to call it low block, listen, we all know the names of these things. It's just defending high lines, etc., right? How can other teams do it, but we can't do it? How can we know hardly break through the lines? How can we know? How does it take us ages and ages and ages to actually break through what other teams can do it with ease? How can, for me, I'm going to agree with Si in that here. I think it's down to coaching. as well. I think coaching's a part of it, and are we just stuck on this same formation, and when it's not working, it's right? What do we do now? How can Motherwell go along? I said it to JP and Aaron last year when Sinisalo was in goals against Rangers. I think it was Rowan Weeks last season. See, when we changed, we went direct. When either came on, Sinisalo just went direct and direct. We got joy out of it. So why no try and go direct? Why do we stick to this same just passing to the side? See, if you're going to do that, Daniel, you need to make sure the passing's sharp, crisp, and quick. But like Alan says, it's no Liam Scales' fault because he's obviously been told to be the lead pack and start the play. See, when he's slow, teams just move up and they cave you in and they cave you in and you can't get out. So if you're going to play this playing for the back, you need to do it quick. But why can you not just start with Sinisalo or Schmeichel? I can't remember what podcast I watched it on, but just go along to the winger and then play it up. Why does it need to go through the back? But I'm agreeing with Alan, Daniel. If they're going to play this way, they need to be quicker and performances do need to change because, like we've all says, bad performances come with bad results.
Yeah, definitely. Just to touch on Casper Schmeichel, we talk about Liam Scales a lot, and we say for every good thing he does, he makes 2 bad mistakes. I feel for me, Casper Schmeichel is now following that kind of a similar path. For every good save we're seeing him make, there's a couple ones like, for example, booting the ball right to the defender, the attacker's feet, because he's not got a pass on instead of just playing it up the park. And then the goal against Braga, there's no excuse for that. It's a wonderful strike, but if you watch it back, he's got the time to watch it coming at him the whole way. He's got the time to set himself. It's more or less right at him, and it hits the net. Even the penalty at the weekend, he goes the right way, and it's right at him, and it still finds the net. So, for me, if I'm Sinisalo, I would be expecting an opportunity in the near
JP.
future.
See you later, mate.
In the near future, I'd be expecting an opportunity because if we hound Liam Scales for this and we say he's not good enough, this needs to change. Other players who are doing the same things something needs to change with him as well.
See, on that, Daniel, do you think, obviously I'm going to touch on it as well when you're finished, and to commenters as well, do you think Celtic are too predictable now? Do you think people know Rodgers' style, they know the sub they're going to do, they know the way we're going to play? Do you think that's where they need to sometimes go direct and change it, or play a different formation? Because see if Celtic go to Tynecastle, right, Hearts probably know Celtic going to play, but if Celtic do go and change it and go to what I'm just old school, I like 4-4-2. That's what I like. Just go direct, 4-4-2, full scale attacking and defend when you need to defend. But football is, as we all says, I'll put a pen in the spell jar. Guardiola's fucked football because he's playing this full 3-3 and it's got to be playing for the back and the goalie's got to play football and goalies don't need to play football. Goalies just need to save shots. But I don't know what you feel on that, mate. Do you think we lack do you think similar to, I'm not going to pin it on Scott Sinclair, but when he came up, it was brilliant, but eventually I think they get used to him and they knew how to defend against him. Do you think that's the way it's getting now?
Yeah, definitely, mate. I'd say we are far too predictable because teams know how to play against us. I mean, we watched Braga come to Celtic Park, an extremely underperforming side before they come to Celtic Park. They knew how to. They played through our press probably the most effectively I've ever seen. I've never sat and watched a team play through the press so well in my entire time watching this team. I've never seen that. And everybody walked into this game expecting a win because they hadn't started the season well and they picked us off. Even when we changed it and matched them, they still picked us off. They knew how to solve it. Yet with us, we know what's coming. We just don't know how to play through it because it's this stubbornness and system, and it does come down to coaching for me as well. The players are coached in this system. This is how we're playing. This is how you go. There's no backups. There's no backups. And I don't know. I think with the Braga game, like you said, it was just an off the cuff. Let's match them. Let's match their formation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that setup was pre-planned. I think it was just, we need to change it. It was reactionary again. We need to change it. And we seen it. We seen the positives of gone long in that formation, because that's when we started to get joy, when that ball was gone direct to Iheanacho, and then it was getting played out to Taneke, and we were moving forward. And then
I wish, Daniel, apart according to Lucky Voodoo 15 there, we're better in charge than Brendan Rodgers. Cheers, I'll take that. I'll take that. Thanks for the comment.
For me, it's just that stubbornness, mate. Everybody knows what they're expecting for a Celtic team. There's no that, how are they going to set up? But again, that comes down to both coaching and recruitment. Because if you recruit players that only play one system, you don't have any other options to be able to change it. So teams know, and it's boring. And we've seen this the first time when Rodgers was here, towards the end, his first time. Football became side to side, stale. Everybody knew it was coming. I guaranteed we still ended up really successful for it, but that's because the teams didn't have the quality to try and combat it. Nowadays, we're seeing an improvement in other teams like Hearts, Motherwell. Teams are getting better, so they now know how to prepare for us, whereas we don't know any other option than, right, this is the way we're going to play.
For me, Alan, I think what Daniel says is right about the off the cuff, because we were dying for a goal, or dying for something to change against Almaty. He stayed with one up front and just replaced the striker with the striker. Didn't go two up front, didn't even go the full, even if it's a full three up front, never mind wingers, just three up front or four up front. It didn't even change anything. It stayed the same. Same the second leg, changed the same. Same in Belgrade, it stayed the same. You're trying to get a victory. Same again, Braga, basically in a way. I know it was, depending on the way you look at it, if it was a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2, but it didn't look the way they were playing, that they played two up front or three up front. It just looked like the same. The way I see it is, the way Celtic play is, Aaron, is it's one up front with two wingers that when you go attacking, it goes to free, right? That's the way that I see it. That's just me, right? I'm agreeing with Daniel. I think we're too predictable, and there's just certain players, no cutting the mustard. If that's the need to settle in, for me, I can understand to a certain degree, but it doesn't wash for me. It's now October. It doesn't. It's Celtic. I know Balak Wisha has said that manager says it's been a culture shot. I understand that. Then that's fine. But come out and tell us that then. Don't play him for a few weeks. Let him settle in. Then let him come in and play. And maybe now this will kick him on. But the last bit of that, Alan, for me, I do think that we're too predictable, and we do need to start changing things, if it's formation wise, tactics wise, because I think if you don't, teams will just get windy, because we've seen it with Ange, Alan. It was all different. It was different rotations and different this, different that. It was the same as, again, I agree with Si and obviously Andy was obviously on the bench, didn't go on, but Motherwell were rotating like hell. Andy says Celtic were right, but see if you look at it, it's just sideways. It's not even a wee lump out of the winger or try and go to natural to hold it up. I just love Alan. Get it to the right back or the goalkeeper. Hit it up to your winger or your striker. Get me hold it in, link to play and play. Why do you always need to go for left to right? All right, we'll try the middle and McGregor passes it back. It's the same old stuff, and all teams need to do is just sit. Because
Brent spoke about this lots and lots of times, that Brendan's no possibly will get a plan B. It's basically do plan A better. I know Ange got, you get tarred with the same brush basically, but his was kind of more attacking style. But when I think it all comes back to the performance and the quality. I think that when you look back at the last couple of years, there wasn't the issues we're seeing just now. We weren't seeing us having the kind of cutting edge of a sponge, because we had better quality there. I think there was, people weren't screaming out for the need to change up the tactics or change up the formation, because we had the quality there that no matter what formation we would play, we'd be able to be successful and play through the majority of the time. So you're looking at let's go back a couple of years when you've got on the wings, you've got the likes you've got the choices for Jota, Maida and Abada. Now we are putting all that.
And a younger James Forrest at the time as well.
Now we are putting all that expectation for bringing goals onto Sebastian Tenetke. That's what it looks like at present. I know that Jota's injured. Maida's now having to play through in the middle quite a lot.
Here's one for you as well, Alan. For you to speak about, right? I know he's not your biggest fan on the podcast, and some guys, but how can Yang start a big European game, but yet he can't play against Motherwell? I don't get it. It's mental.
We're lacking so much creativity and so much kind of creating any chances for goals as well. You look at, I think Kelechi's done pretty well since he's come in. I like the look of him. It's been like a panic buy with a pineapple head out in the weeds for Kelechi, because it's went into kind of the free agent style, so it's just been panic beyond our belief that I'm sure we'll get into with the board and shortly. But even when you look back as well, you had the likes of Kyogo and Giacomakis that were going up front. So you look at Jota, Maida, Abada, Kyogo, Giacomakis, and now we've got kind of Kelechi, Tenetke, James Forrest, Maida,
Tony Kenny.
Massive budget quality. And that's what I'm saying. I get the point that Brendan should be more flexible with his tactics, should be more flexible with his formation, but he is stubborn. I'm saying that we probably didn't see that before. We weren't shouting out or change our formation, change our tactics, because we had so much quality. No matter the formation, no matter the tactics we played, that quality would come to the fore. That quality would make us get the wins that was needed and play better football and domestically. Sometimes, obviously, we didn't play too well in Europe, but I think it's starting to get noticed now that Brendan's he's not changing up his formation or tactics. I think it's getting noticed now because of the lack of creativity and quality that we've got. I think
there's that comment there, Alan. It goes to what you're saying there, Colin Jordan. In the past, you would go with Edward, Dembele, you Griffiths, and now he's got to change with even Johnny Kenny signed a new deal, and now he can't go in the park. It's mental, but obviously, Daniel, we've got some questions here, start, and then we'll touch on the collective. We'll start off with one about the collective. It's one from Lauren. He says, I was surprised with the passion in Maeda's celebration. I know it was just a last-minute winner, but he showed something he hasn't shown for a long time. Maybe he'll kick on from now. For me, Daniel, I'm agreeing with Lauren there, because if Maeda didn't score that goal, for me, he's getting criticised. I thought it was terrible. Passing the ball at the park, again, I understand the move didn't happen, and I understand that maybe his head's maybe not fully clear, but that's done now. And listen, when I was younger, am I going to go to this team? I didn't. I've never thought, right, I didn't go there. I'm not going to I'm not going to play well. That's done. You're still getting paid a wage. You're still playing at a big club. If you don't continue to play well, forget a move in January. Forget a big move to Brentford, or if it's away to Besiktas or Fenerbahce, wherever it is. You're not getting that move, because why would a team want to touch you if you're not performing in Scotland? It's not happening. But so this is why I don't understand, Daniel, why players just, I'm not saying down tools, because that's nonsense. They just don't perform, but they don't get a move. But surely your mind goes, right, I still want to get a move. I still want to show I'm good enough to go to the Premier League or go away, wherever it's going to be. I need to perform now for Celtic. I still want to perform for myself, my teammates. But if I want to get a move here, then I need to try and go and perform and put myself out there, because here in Europe now, there's no Champions League football. So the only way you're going to get really noticed is Europa League, because nobody's going to really notice in Scotland. Like Kuhn and stuff like that get noticed playing against Leipzig wanted them, etc., etc. So I agree with Lauren. Maybe this should kick him on now.
For me, I'm not going to hold my breath with Dyson Maeda. He's been a fantastic servant to the club. He's done so well, but listen, we said after he scored that goal, I can't mind who it was, but earlier on in the season, and he's celebrating with the shirt, he's celebrating with the badge. And
was it Kilmarnock? No,
I think so. It might have been, but we seen him score that goal and he's celebrating with the badge, and we went, right, is this going to be it? And it wasn't. So I'm not going to hold my breath. I would like to think, this will be his incentive to go and be that professional. But for me, we've already seen a wee bit of a dragging and kicking, so I would not be surprised if it continued. But all that matters for me is if he's turning up and performing, and if he's no, he won't play. So Brendan's made that clear to him. So it's now down to him. You either turn up and get noticed by another team for your performances that you keep putting in, because if he does chuck it and he doesn't play well and he is benched, nobody's going to want him. They're not going to want him. So you need to keep going. You're a professional football player. But I'm not going to hold my breath for it. I'm just going to let him do his thing. If he's playing poor, we know why.
Mhm.
But if he is putting in the performances, then that's what we want to see.
And another question, put this one to yourself, Alan, as from Lauren again. The thing is, we have several players who are not good enough or not interested. With better recruitment, some of this team would be nowhere near the starting 11. We're stuck with it to January. I agree with you. Again, I've said all along for the summer, the standards of the club, and again, this is no, I dig anybody in the support, this is just me. I'm seeing that maybe some players are getting accepted as main players when they shouldn't be, or getting more game time. Like Yang playing for Celtic years ago, even 5 years ago, wouldn't be happening. Liam Scales, again, I do agree with JP in a way that he has been probably our most consistent defender this year, but the way that if we want to progress a football club, Liam Scales shouldn't be starting next to Vickers in a Celtic jersey, in my opinion. Anthony Ralston shouldn't be anywhere the team. Even potentially look McKibben for me showed why he's not a starter in Sunday for me as well, Alan. There's certain other players that are coming in, like Johnny Kenny, but get nowhere near your bench, guys like that. People might think I'm being harsh. Unfortunately, that's just, I've got high standards when I played football, and now as a fan, I've seen some, like a guy mentioned, Abada. We've let him go. He might have not been the best of players, but his goals, and he was raw, but he had something. And like you mentioned it as well, do you think that's the case that Lauren says, Alan, that because we're winning trophies and we're doing all right and we're just getting in the line some games that, oh, it's fine that they can defend all right, they've got a wee dribble and they've scored a few goals, that's fine. But realistically, if we want to be the best we can, some of the players, if we had a better recruitment process, some of the players would be neighbour near that team, mate.
No, it's we go back to the transfer windows. I think that's where it all stems to. I think that we're looking at standards, and I spoke about kind of Liam Scales earlier. You go through that team as an agent, James Forrest, he's Celtic's most decorated player. But is that somebody that we should be starting with? Have we lowered the bar that much that our standards now are kind of James Forrest, Tony Ralston coming in, as much as he's a young guy, Colby Donovan, Liam Scales. Aye, is this the standard that we should be looking for? It's far from the standard that we should be looking for. And you're seeing that it's all stems from the transfer dealings. That's all it stems from. And you're looking at if we could have added quality, if we could have replaced quality with quality, been proactive, brought in a replacement for Kuhn before he left, brought in a replacement for Kyogo, brought in replacements for Ida before he left, etc., instead of looking into that free agent market. It was a complete, utter mess. And it is basically, I seen with the comment, it is kind of stick to January. And it's not the most ideal place to be, because we're looking at the depth and the strength of our squad, and it's nowhere near the quality that it should be. It's nowhere near. We've definitely regressed. You're looking at last year and the year before. It's definitely regression. It's no, we're worse off than we've been. And I think the majority of this collective and this movement towards kind of change at the club is because of the lack of organisation, the lack of ambition that's shown in the transfer market. You're looking at that we're going in and bidding in the last day of the window, we're bidding less than half the value of a striker that all the Celtic fans would have been happy for. We're getting publicly kind of slagged off the sporting director of Go Ahead Eagles, which is a relegation fighting kind of Dutch side most of the time. because we bid a bit of quarter of what they were expecting for one of their top players. I'm not saying that these players are great and they should have been signed, but the business that we are doing is it's shocking. It's embarrassing. And for us, with all that kind of finance behind us, with all that money in the bank, and we're struggling to kind of be proactive in the transfer market. We're struggling to kind of bring in some quality that's going to take us on the extra step. We've seen probably the ceiling that's been for us that we matched kind of Bayern Munich earlier on this year. Nearly took them to kind of extra time, and that's the stage we go right. If we add a wee bit of quality here and there, and we make sure that we're proactive in this transfer market, we spend reasonable enough. We're not talking about spending kind of multi-millions, just reasonable amounts of money. Do our homework properly, do our scouting properly, and bring in the right amount of quality. Then we can at least be at that level or kick on that little bit more like the manager wants. And for me, the manager's just been ostracised. I think they've hung on to dry with the kind of the signings that we've made. And I think that that's shown with him. He's failing to kind of play the majority of players that's come in. As you say, Ryan, earlier, we've gave Johnny Kenny a new contract. We've hardly seen him since. We signed Shin Yamada for $2 million. We signed Inamura for the other side of the world. We signed Simpson Puzzi. We signed Osmond for down south. None of these players are even registered in the Europa League squad. These players aren't getting anywhere near the team, and that's about half of the signings that we've made that I've just named there. And none of these players are getting anywhere near the team. For me, that just screams that there's a disconnect between Brendan and the hierarchy. It just shows that these players weren't his pick. They've been brought in. He's not picking them. They're not getting any game time. So whatever work any scouts done, any of the hierarchy's done to bring in these players, it's been a complete and utter waste of time. So for me, it's a shambles. It's been like that for a few years now, since kind of the first season that Ange kind of brought in players. I think the majority of those transfer windows since that have been a disappointment. We're still get the majority that Ange's first season, the players that have been, and you're looking at when was that 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. The amount of kind of cycles and rotations within football teams, that shouldn't be the case. It's desperate, it's messy, and it's just no fit for purpose the way that we're doing business as a club just at present.
Seen a wee comment from our sponsor, Mr. Alex Beveridge. You can get Alex if you want to. Yeah, we mentioned to our sponsor, that is Mr. Alex Beveridge. The man it was in the chat. That's his numbers there, and you can get him on the social medias. It's 07845 746 092. That's for all inquiries. Contact Alex, and I'm sure the big man will sort you out on a decent deal if you want to go with him. I would definitely advise it. Very, very good at his job. Very good at making entertainment value, and absolutely fantastic night. Obviously, Daniel, as Alan said there, we have got a few more questions in from the viewers. I'll just touch on this briefly. It was from Toby. He was talking about the Iheanacho. He was getting the ball and saying, right, let's go, Negan, let's go. For me, brilliant attitude. He was brilliant in the dugout. I agree with you, Toby. It was fantastic. The one I want to touch on is obviously it was from Moan, the Mick, and Francis, and that's two questions. Then we'll touch on briefly the collective, Daniel. Moan the Mick says, to be fair, Ryan, the last 15 minutes on Sunday was the way we should go forward. Again, Daniel, I've spoken to my dad. Why do teams wait until you score to chase the game before you start playing it quicker, before you start going direct, before you start moving your arse to go and get goals? I agree with that there. The last 15 minutes was better, but that's because we're chasing. But why I've never understood it, Daniel, even when I played myself. Why do teams wait till you go behind till you start creating things? Why? I don't get it, mate. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, we even spoke about this the other night there. After Belgrade, why should it take an injection of pace, energy, for substitutions for other players to liven up? why it's no good enough. The attitude is just no there. I mean, we see the complete opposite ends of the spectrum in the way Ian Atchell reacts to the goals and the way Benjamin Negrin reacts to the goals. Because we see with Benjamin Negrin, he gets a goal to put us at a draw at home with Motherwell, and instead of grabbing the ball, taking it back and get the game restarted, he chooses to put his horn up to his ear in front of a stand full of his own fans because he's been getting stick for his own poor performances. Now, I understand emotion, but it's Tuki and Actual coming there and saying, "What are you doing?" with the ball in his arm to grab him and get his head back in the game. And then Ian Atchell's not even on the park anymore, and he's in the dugout, heading every ball that comes into the box. The team eventually does get the victory, and he legs it down the touchline. That's the attitude of a Celtic player. No, I've just scored a goal to put you back in the game. I'm going to put my horn up to my ear. What you saying now? If that's the attitude, you shouldn't be at this club because it's just caring about yourself. And for me, that was a big eye opener into the mindset of Benjamin Negrin and the way. And if that's going to be the way he is moving forward, I don't want to see him in a Celtic jersey as often because we need players that are going to fight for each other. We need players that are going to put in the performances week in, week out. And for me, he only looks like he's caring about himself, and that's not a Celtic mentality.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you, mate. Totally agree with you. That was brilliant attitude. And to yourself, Alan Francis says, the problem I believe, lads, is that the wrong people are scouting and doing the negotiations and the transfers. Your thoughts? For me, Alan, I think we've found out now that obviously we'll get touch on the collective meeting. We've found out that Mackay and Nicholson are basically dealing with the transfers. They deal with it. If they're obviously not doing their job right, and the recruitment staff are either putting it to them, and whoever's giving them the budget and releasing the funds, or not, whatever it is, Alan, we all don't know every single bit behind the scenes, right? But is Francis correct that whoever's behind the scenes, whoever's doing these deals, are no doing it to the level to take Celtic where we want to be? I'm not saying beaten by Munich, but that's the standard for me, Alan. What happened last year in that campaign is the standard. If we go to that again, you're thinking, right, we've spent money, we've got to the same stage, but we're unlucky to get a team at Bayern Munich again, or Barcelona, whatever it is, unlucky. We'll take it. We'll take the 40 million. We'll go again next year. But the fact we didn't go anywhere near that, for me, does put question massively on what is behind the scenes.
It's definitely behind the scenes. I think it's a deep-rooted problem as well. I think it's deeper than just who's looking at the players, because there's a common denominator of the people that's been there throughout this kind of process. There has been, like, Mark Lawwell had a job and he was removed, and then is it Tidsdale that's come in as well to help out?
Tisdale and David Pleat, and I think Toss McKinley's a scout as well. There's some other guys behind the scenes as well.
So there has been movement in regards to that, but there's not been much movement with the hierarchy that are making the decisions that are given the okay to kind of bring these players in. So it's a deep-rooted problem, and that's why this movement's happening. You can see there's a common denominator here. It's continuing to happen. That you look at even last season, like, you don't need Bayern Munich's great, but you look at us beating kind of Leipzig. You look at it, and then now this year we'll get beat 2-0 at home at Braga. We can't score against a Kazakh team, Kairat Almaty. It's just a complete mess, and I think it's just an accumulation of things that's been happening, and we are going to speak about it. But what the
fuck are they doing? That's what you said. Or she, sorry.
You could talk to a rocket scientist or a brain surgeon and try and decipher what they're actually doing. I've no idea what they're getting in. It's just a complete mess. There's no words to describe what they're doing, and we'll get into it. But they've come out and tried to justify what they're doing. It's like we're watching the quality seep away for this club, continuously, like the transfer window on transfer window, we're getting weaker, and now we're starting to see that. I'm saying I still think we should be strong enough to win this league this year. But as I said to Ryan and Daniel before it, I think we will. Am I as confident as I've been the last few years? No, not in your nearly. I'm no, because I'm looking at these performances. I'm looking at the quality that we've got on the pitch. I'm looking at the creativity we've got. We had players before that you go right. If we're struggling somewhere, this player can get you a goal out of anywhere. They can create something that wee bit special that will get you on the line. I'm not seeing that just now. I know that we got that last minute winner, but I'm struggling to be positive with anything we're seeing just now, and I hope this international breaks probably came at the perfect time. I think that the players that are on the international break, we need to get these players in, need to get them adapted to the club, etc. And we need to kick on for here because, as we've said, there is a few important games coming up. I think the next European game, we need to have 3 points there for any aspirations to kind of making any sort of qualification for this Europa League, whether that be the top 8 or the playoff part. And then we've got a massive game away at Hearts at Tynecastle. I think that we need to put our foot down and show that we're still the champions of Scotland. We're not sitting at the top of the league just now. We need to make an impact in these sort of games and kind of put a marker down that we're not going away here. You can be the up and comers, or you can play well, but you're going to need to go a fair bit to get by us. But I think for us visiting places like that, I think our performance is going to need to improve a hell of a lot. We're capable to do that, more than capable to improve that performance. Will it happen? That's the question.
No, I totally agree with you, Alan. I think if we don't beat Sturm Graz at home, I think potentially you're out of Europe. And it's going to be a really unbelievable, unbelievable performances against Bologna, Roma, and Feyenoord, and then you need to pick up all the results. So it's going to be really hard for me, Alan. Somebody says, Ryan, who did you play for? Decent off that. When I was younger, I played with Thistle and Dunfermline, and I just played 21. I got a bad injury, and then more my knee. That was me. So I got a bad injury, mate. So, or she, sorry, whoever it is. But obviously, lads, the collective, which has obviously been spoke about. I don't need to go through it all, but basically, people have all seen this. There was meetings for fan groups with Chris Mackay and Nicholson, the financial officer, and the chief exec. And also John Paul Taylor was there, Kevin McCulkin, the head of commercial operations, George Campbell, the legal and governance, Mark Harvey, head of safety, security and operations. Showed a bit as well. Basically, we've all read it, but I'll just put it up for people that have not seen it for a few seconds for them to read it. It was obviously not ideal that some of the answers we got, but before we go in heavily, we will have to wait on the club's meeting to get the full, because obviously the club are saying certain things, the collective, as we've seen here, are saying certain things. So we need to see the full meetings, I would say, before we make a full judgment in terms of everything. But we can all go on and we can take our judgment, Alan and Daniel, from the two of them. The full meetings, when we get them, we can obviously touch them on. But obviously, Daniel, some of the stuff like taxes and all that and stuff, it's just bonkers. It's lies, because every other team's signing players, so but Celtic can't do it. I think Celtic. I was actually talking to my dad. I didn't actually realise this, but Celtic get charged £12 million in tax because of the amount of money they've got in the bank. Spend that on a player, and you're not really getting charged that. They're basically saying they're taking accountability, but they're no. What's your thoughts on it, Daniel? For me, I'm not going to get into it too much because we need to see the minutes fully before we go into. We'll delve into our podcast maybe next week or so, whenever this gets dealt with. But for me, Alan, they're saying they're taking accountability, but there's people who are in the meeting said they were, but they weren't. What's your thoughts on it? But for me, the only reason they've come out and done this, Daniel, is because of the small protests, the fact that Celtic Park was empty against Braga, it was kinda empty-ish against Motherwell. Fans are no going to home ticket scheme anymore. Fans are no buying the packages. Fans are no going to the single games. What's your thoughts on what happened on the night, mate? What we've heard?
For me, Celtic agreeing to that meeting wasn't to try and resolve it. For the way it's panned out now, it was never to try and figure out a way to move forward. It was to temporarily shut it.
I think your mics went, mate. Is that us now?
There we go, mate.
There we go.
That's Big Power Pedro coming in, trying to shut me up.
No, you go, mate. Fire away what you were saying there, mate. Oh, his mic went again.
You want me to go?
You fire away, Mr. Daniel. Sorts himself out, mate.
Right, where do I start? I'll know how you're about to the minutes. It's sheer ignorance for the board, honestly. They're trying to basically say that nothing's happening, but they're doing everything perfectly and there's nothing to see here. It's a way of kind of gaslighting the fans. That's what it's like. That's the terminology they probably use just now. They're trying to, no, everything's all right here. It's a shambles. They are not fit for purpose, these people. Honestly, I think they're right. I think it's just been, what Daniel was saying, it's just been a way to delay the inevitable. This is going to continue to carry on, and this is rightfully so. Well, look, this isn't just like, we're coming out this season because of a bad transfer window and we're wanting immediate change. This has been happening over a prolonged period of time. 7 times at the last 9 Champions League qualifiers, we've failed to qualify for the Champions League. You look at the last number of transfer windows, whether it be kind of Kyogo not being replaced, Kun not being replaced in time, us getting into the players might well have been good enough and the managers and players take blame, but we should have went into those Champions League qualifiers far stronger than we went into them. It's just, and when you only think that letter that we seen a few weeks ago, that was the worst, and now you hear this and you hear about the tax, or we're blaming tax for European countries. What do these people actually think that we are stupid people for Saturn? What we live
I think they do.
It's like out this universe. What is going on in their heads the way they word things? Honestly, it's like, we'll just treat them as if they're stupid, as if they know nothing whatsoever. You're looking at it. No, we can't sign anybody because of the tax rules in Europe. So that stops every other club in our country. They can't sign anybody for that. What about other people in the English Premier League or any league around Europe? Do they have issues like that? No, it just seems to be us, and we're getting hit with excuse after excuse. There's no ownership being taken. They're no accepting any sort of blame. So for me, rightly so, these protests need to continue. You're looking at the relationship between the Celtic board and the Celtic fans. I've said this before, relationship between the Celtic board and the Celtic fans is like a dog's relationship with a lamppost. That's what we get pissed upon. That is what it is. It's simply not good enough. These people are no fit for purpose. They might be good at running business, but they've not got the best motives for our football team for us going forward, because we've regressed constantly. And you can see how together the whole fan base is for pushing for change, putting action in to change. And these protests will continue to happen, and it's not going to be fixed over kind of, we'll have, this is what I've been trying to say, there's people that come on and say that the silence won't make any issues. Well, it did. It was that well publicised that it caused them to call a meeting. You're looking at it, it can't just be one thing. It needs to be right, there's going to be a silence, right? There's going to be standing outside the stadium for however long it may be. There's going to be a merchandise boycott. There's going to be a European ticket boycott. It has to be a collection and accumulation of different things to make the bad publicity go towards the board. And they will feel that. They'll feel that penny pinching. They'll feel that in their pocket. And it's just, honestly, there's no words to describe how these kind of statements make Celtic fans feel, because it's just completely disrespectful. They're so out of touch that it's absolutely unbelievable. And there's no way back for this anymore, I don't believe. I think that there is people that need to be removed from positions. I think with these two statements that have come out, one last month or 6 weeks ago or so, and this one that's come out there, and we'll see the minutes as well, it's just they're so far out of touch that they can't take any responsibility, any blame for what's happening, and we can all see it right in front of our eyes unfolding. It's just, it's far too good enough, and rightfully so, the protest will continue.
I think it will, Alan. It might not be every minute of every game, but I do think there will be. I think it's got to be now. I think for me, Daniel, I don't obviously if you're back on, mate, now. I think that the fans only wanting to go and spend £80 million on a player, £50 million on a player. We're just wanting to spend it on our means, but spend it on, as Francis mentioned as well, about recruitment. Spend it wisely. Celtic can go and spend £10 million in Casper Dolberg. They can go and spend, if it's £10 million in the boy Sterlek or whatever. Celtic can do that because they went and spent £9 million Adam either. So why not go and spend the extra £1 million on Dolberg, who's more experienced at international, domestic, Champions League, everything. Experience. He might have no come and done brilliant. But before he comes, his profile was a number 9 for Celtic. Scores goals, international experience, Champions League, everything. Come off a brilliant season for Denmark, Anderlecht. Started well in the league with Anderlecht in the Danish squad before obviously the last before we signed him. So I don't. For me, it's ambition of the club. Does it match what the fans expect or want? I don't think it does, Daniel. That's just my opinion. I'm not talking for anybody else. We can see before the transfer window what we needed. We knew in about February, March, whatever, that we needed to help the team for the qualifiers. We understand that team is good enough without any signings. We understand that, but that's not the case. It's the principle that the manager wasn't given sufficient funds and players and quality to add. I'm not saying that Taneke and Sirachi and even Nacho would have got us through, but they'd have helped us because it's 3 options to help you. And after the bench, you're relying on Yang, who, listen, Yang's no absolutely terrible. He's just not good enough for Celtic. He might do well for Aberdeen, or he might go down to the Championship or abroad and do well, right? But there's just levels to certain teams and certain players, right? Even McKibben, he's a decent player for £1 million. Scales and other Ralston and Yamada, Johnny Kenny, or Adam Mida, I know £9 million, 20 goals, but realistically, these guys to take Celtic forward to be the best we can, relying on guys who know the best players to take us forward. And it didn't add to that, Daniel. That's the frustration, mate. It's all been for years and years, but this has just been the total, right, nah, this is no good enough, because if it doesn't get better, we've got qualifiers next year. Potentially in 2 or 3 years' time, by the way, we may be having qualifiers, 3 or 4 qualifiers to get into the Champions League. And can we trust this board, Daniel? This hierarchy to take us forward when they've failed us in qualifiers before? I don't think so.
Nah, I think you're spot on, and I'd agree with what Alan says as well. It's just total gaslighting. That's what it is. They came to the table and they said, right, let's get the meeting, because like with this, everybody that said the protests won't work, it did, because it brought them to the table. And it's as if they've sat down and went, right, tell me what you've got to say. The Celtic fans have put it across like they have been the whole time, and Celtic have just went, I was only kidding. I don't actually care. I was only bamming you up. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. And for us to be in a position, you talk about the recruitment during the summer, our biggest draw for these players to bring these quality footballers into the club is the promise of the top level of European football and the Champions League. We're all realistic. We're not expecting the board to go out and splash money everywhere and anywhere. But the ambition does not match. It does not match between the fans and what the board are saying they want. They're no doing the same thing. They're saying one thing and doing another. Because if you want to progress as a football club in Europe, you'll do everything you can to make sure you're in Europe. This season, how many seasons gone by before playing qualifiers? They've no done it. Now we're in a position 2 or 3 years down the line, we're going to be looking at playing even more qualifiers and gone on past experience. No, they're no fit for purpose to recruit for these qualifiers and keep moving forward in the Champions League, because we can't even perform in the Europa League right now because of the current state of everything, and we're actually staring down the barrel an exit, because if we, like you said, if we don't beat Stormgras, we can kiss it bye-bye, because for that game, it's just an uphill battle. Because the teams we play are no mugs. Guaranteed it's a drop-off in standards to the Champions League, but they're still good quality teams. And I think if everybody's learned this season, nothing is a given in Europe.
No, it's no, mate. Even in Scotland, nothing's a given away you're playing. The last bit I want to touch on, Alan and Daniel, is before we end the show. Obviously, we've really been on since the Braga game. So, one guy I want to touch on, and I don't know if it determines Brendan's judgment as a player, if it whatever it is. But for me, Alan, I want to give Lagerbielke a massive pat on the back. I thought he was different class against us. He was like Beckenbauer. I don't know if that was because we made him look like that. I don't know, but I've always says he didn't get a chance. I always thought he had something. Whether or not it was going to be Celtic every week, I don't know. I can only go on what I see. He made one or two mistakes. Apart from that, other defenders and other players have made many mistakes. Worse than what he done. Continue to play, continue to get game time. He was calm on the ball. Touch was brilliant. He was aggressive. He was assured. He was like Chris Varaya, take the ball into the middle of the park, spraying passes. He was probably the best defender in the park. So does that then question the judgment of the manager when, listen, he could be hopeless for Braga the rest of the year. I'm not going to see a lot of Braga games, so I can't comment, right? But just on that performance, there was a lot of pressure on him, in my opinion, to come and play well, because didn't really play at Celtic. If he was terrible, Celtic fans would go, the manager was right. You were honking. This is why you weren't at the club. This is why we sold you. This is why you didn't play. But some of the chat is, why did we sell him? If that's the way he's performing. But bear in mind, that's no just against Queen's Park or against Cork City. That's against Celtic at Celtic Park in a Europa League game. That's still it's a good standard, Darren. And I thought he was different class. Listen, I'm not going to bum him up too much because he didn't do well for us, but did he really get a chance to go, right, there's 5, 6, 7, 8 games in a row, go and show you what it's all about? For me, Alan, I thought it was different class. And it's just a question, does that do the judgment again either the manager or the recruitment that shows that it isn't fit for purpose, that they've signed a player, no played him, and then he goes away? Or is it just Lagerbielke couldn't cope here, he goes elsewhere, he bulks up, and he becomes a better player? I don't know how you look at it, but for me, you look at that player that played against Celtic, that is a £4 million player. That is a player that can play for Sweden, can play at a decent level, but yet he couldn't get on our bench. Beggars belief to me, mate.
He played exceptionally well in that game. I liked kind of Narowski better than I seen Lagerbielke. I know we didn't see both of them kind of for a great deal of time, but I think we've known this, that Brendan gets his favourites. That's just the type of manager he is. I think that you need to have kind of you need to be quickly kind of playing well for Brendan. I think he'll quickly just put you to the side. I think first impressions are last week, Brendan. I think he can be quite stubborn. I think he's the players that he wants to play, because you look at Austin Trusty, Lagerbielke, Mike
On that,
Naros.
Alan, right? On that, Alan, sorry to cut you in, but you've a good point I'll put to you. Now, Joe Hart spoke about it in commentary, that him and Scales were different class at Ibrox, threw into the deep end, they were different class. How come Scales stayed but Lagerbielke didn't when the two of them made the odd mistake? I don't get it.
I think after games or something, they must be going to a hotel with him and Brendan or cuddling and kissing or something. I don't know. There's something not right
No, that's not Brendan, that's me.
there. That's that one. Like, it's a joke there, right? But all due respect to Leo Scales, right? He's done fantastically well, right? He's done brilliant for where he came from. But he's done better than any of us can ever dream of. So, but when you're putting players like just be high, you're looking at the likes of Austin Trusty, Mike Narowski, and Lagerbielke. For me, I don't know how Leo Scales is still in that team. I just, my mind boggles with it. I don't see what it depends. Could sometimes I've just, maybe everybody sees football different, but I don't see him bringing us up to a level that the likes of maybe Austin Trusty in his best game. I think he should be the guy that is playing next to Carter Vickers. I know that last season as well against Dundee looked pretty weak. There was definitely that. There was a few games that you have to you need to strengthen up a wee bit there.
But Atalanta, he was different class.
And I think the pre-season he had, I think he looked pretty decent as well. As I say, I think Brendan's just got his favourites and who he plays, and I think he's pretty stubborn in that regard, and that's probably how Lagerbielke has been shown the door. I personally, I didn't see him being kind of this great defender when I see the times we did see him. I thought he was quite average. He didn't look anything out of the ordinary. But with credit where credit's due, he played exceptionally well against us. That might be because of how poor Celtic have been. But he played exceptionally well for Braga last Thursday.
Again, Daniel, like I've said to Alan there, I'm just putting it out there. Is it because of the pressure here? He couldn't keep the demands of the Scottish game. He was strong enough. I don't know. Or Brennan just says, I don't like you. You're not good enough. Away you go. You're not playing. But I'm only going on that performance. I'm not going to jump because I can't sit and say that Taneki has one good game, or Scales or Taylor, whoever it was in the past, one good game, right, boom, he's got to be playing. I'm just based on that performance. It's just a question to the viewers as well. Does that then question the recruitment or the manager's judgment when a guy who he's binned is came to Celtic Park and been the best defender in the park? Or was it because maybe Lager had a spruce in his step? I need to go to Celtic Park. I need to play well. I need to prove him wrong. I need to go. I should have been here, because looking at that game now, I'm not saying he's Maldini. I'm not saying that. Maybe I'm blinded by the fact that I actually thought he was decent and I thought he was going to be something, because as soon as he came to Celtic, he took our Starfelt for Sweden. He's been Sweden squads recently, so maybe Sweden under the same Sweden they used to be, or when Larsson played and Ibra played. But Sweden are no mugs. They're a decent, very decent international team. And you don't play with Sweden if you're not a good player. And he's been playing for Sweden in the squads. Still getting in the squad. People might go for Scotland, guys that maybe, I don't know, Kenny McLean, the boy Hurst, etc. They're not good, but in the Scotland squad, but it doesn't matter. They're still getting in the squads. But is there anything? Am I coming for anything, Daniel, or do you think it's just because he played one good game, went to the show stuff at Celtic, and there was a reason why Brendan didn't keep him on? But I'm just going on that performance, Daniel. I thought he was the best defender in the park, and I thought he showed that. That's probably the forum that got him the Celtic move.
Yeah, definitely. I think you do have a point there. I mean, when he was coming into the club, he was already starting for Sweden, and there was a lot of excitement round about him.
Have you seen in the Rovsky, we're all saying he was going to be Poland's captain, and everything this is going to push him on to the next big thing.
There was a lot of excitement around these signings, but then we seen with Lagerbielke, Brendan dismissed them very, very quickly. came out into the media and said him and I think it was Odin Holm, the mentality
Mike,
doesn't match.
Jesus.
He's still on loan. He's still on loan. He's not back to Christmas time.
He came out and said publicly that they two players don't fit the mentality that he wants. So for me, I would say he has come back to Celtic with a point to prove, and he done it. Like we say, he was exceptional. But I think you do have a point that was it too quick to just go, nah. Like, you can dismiss a player very quickly, but if he's working in training, I mean, he's definitely looked bigger. So if he's putting that mass on and he's trying to get there, why was he no gave an opportunity?
Well,
and that does come back.
On that, Daniel, again, get back to commentary. Joe Hart says he was a brilliant professional. He trained hard, so Joe Hart's telling you that he'd done everything that was asked. Now, listen, it could generally be that he was good enough, and that's fine. We don't see behind the scenes. We don't see what they do, but we've got eyes. We watch every game. We go to the games. We've got eyes, and there's some players that have played for Celtic continuously. And you're thinking, I understand it could be trust as well, Daniel. The manager trusts him. That is a big thing in football. Listen, I've played with myself with guys that play in front of me, and I'm thinking, right, I'm better than him. I've trained all week. He's no, but why is he playing? And there's certain reasons why. And I get it, right? It might be they've done well. And I'm just trying to say for Scotland, like Steve Clark, right? The boy Hurst is not really doing well for Ipswich. Never done well for Scotland. Shankly's done well for Hearts. Should be in the squad. Scott Bain should be in the squad considering his form at Falkirk. Angus Gunn's no playing. Craig Gordon's no played, but they're not in the squad. But Steve Clark, trusts him because of what they've done in the team. I get it, but surely if you're a better player, because for me, some guys are better in training than they're on the park, and they turn up on the park on Saturday doing it in the freeze and they're good enough. But Hart's saying that he's done everything right, but is it just he's just been good enough? And the manager goes, I don't fancy.
It might well be, mate, but it's just one of the things we'll never actually know. But for me, I think you definitely have a point. There has been a lot of players recently where we've seen, especially in defence, why we not seeing these players and the same culprits are getting started every single time, no matter how many mistakes they make. Whereas players like Trusty start to make mistakes and they're bummed out instantly. And I think it does just come back to that stubbornness and favouritism of Brendan. We know it's something that exists. So for me, it might well be that. But if Joe Hart is coming out and saying he was a top professional, he done everything he was asked, we can physically see it because he's got bigger. That was one of the big question marks around Lagerbielke, was his strength. And we've now seen that he is stronger. So it may well be that. But yeah, for me, he had a point to prove coming back to Celtic Park, and he done it. And we seen the reaction of the players after the game, going over to him, saying hello, giving him a cuddle and stuff like that. They seen that he proved his point. So all respect to him, well done. But yeah, it does definitely raise a question of maybe we shouldn't have been so quick to dismiss him. But we know that Brendan's got that in him, and he does like his favourites.
Because obviously you look at like Dave Murray, he's spoken of him highly. He's hardly played. No, listen, Dave Murray's had obviously injury issues and he's obviously having to come back, get himself fit, etc. Right? But you try to tell me that Lagerbielke is no better than Dave Murray. A guy's with the speed in playing Braga. Again, I'm no speculating. I'm just in my opinion. It just as a fan, it just seems weird. It just seems weird how even Stephen Welsh was getting in front of him. It's weird. But if there's anything else, lads, you want to chat about before we end the show? Nothing else. But I know, again, thanks to the commenters, thanks to the questions. Been pretty good interaction this evening, afternoon. The way you want to look at it, thanks a lot. We will be back on the next day or two. We'll obviously keep these on the socials just due to availability and stuff. We'll get back to you very soon. Obviously, Scotland's playing tomorrow night, so if you're a Scotland fan, enjoy the game. Hopefully, Celtic can kick on after that national break. No injuries, hopefully, as well. That's probably the biggest thing. No injuries, especially to Kieran Tierney and guys like that. We don't want to see any injuries. But until the next time, Thanks a lot. Hail, hail. Please like and subscribe to the channel. We are on every social media platform, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It helps us get over on YouTube, and it helps us get further on field as that as well. Big up, hail, hail, guys. Hail, hail, mate. Hope you're well. Again, brilliant chat. Good to get your thoughts and opinions. But until the next time, hail, hail, guys, and stay safe.
Sets up Larsson here. Larsson, oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly, how about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you!
In for Henrik Larsson, and Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic!
Here is Shunsuke Nakamura!